Have you ever felt like there's something more to life than what you're currently doing?
Do you see the world differently than everyone around you?
Do you ever dream of achieving big things but feel stuck? We're Tiffany and Sid, and we are the Cycle Breakers.
Not long ago, no one believed in us.
The people closest to me said I'd make a great receptionist.
And mine completely abandoned me and left my life.
We started our journey 5 years ago in a basement.
Now, we live our dream life in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. But how did we get here?
We saw a life that was much better than the one we were living.
And broke through the blocks that hold most people back.
Like self-sabotage, crippling self-doubt, and the fear of rejection. But we knew we were made for more, so we bet on ourselves to make the life that we wanted.
And jumped into a life dedicated to breaking old cycles and patterns.
And now we live on 97 acres in the Smoky Mountains. We travel the world speaking on stages, and we help a small army of people break their cycles as well.
We're the Cycle Breakers, and we break through blocks that are holding most people back so we can go live our dream life.
Welcome to the Cycle Breakers Show.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Cycle Breakers Show. This show is all about helping you reprogram your mind, but ultimately helping you clear the blocks that are holding you back so that you can go out there and create your dream life. I'm Sid Clevinger, one of the original Cycle Breakers, here with my amazing and beautiful wife,
Tiffany Toombs, Clevinger.
And we are the original Cycle Breakers, and we're super excited to have you here on this episode with us today. So today, we're actually going to be talking about a really awesome topic. This was one of the first things that I learned from Tiffany when I first met her. Gosh, it's been going on 6 years or just over 6 years ago. Time flies. But it was one of the things she first mentioned to me, and it was like, this sounds so geeky, but now I look back at it and I'm like, whoa, this is like tied to everything. And like, if I'm not careful, I can look at every single thing that I do and it happens. And I'm sure you're going to probably see this at the end of this episode as well, but it really comes back to reprogramming the mind, and it comes back to really what we see without actually seeing it. And we call that the Reticular Activating System. So Tiffany, how about you go ahead and you just geek out on this topic that you have studied for hundreds of hours, I know, and read about all the time. Let's let people know what it is and how it's tied into our life.
I think we have to have certain episodes that are just titled like Geek Time with Tiffany.
This would be one of those episodes.
Yeah. So the reticular activating system.
But it's very important because it ties to everything.
It is. So the reticular activating system is like our awareness system. Think of it almost like the most powerful GPS in the world. Now, it's part of the unconscious mind, which kind of has a bad rap because people like Freud told us that the unconscious mind is working against us. And, you know, a lot of people, because they end up in self-sabotage, they're like, oh, my unconscious mind working against me. The thing is that your unconscious mind is actually designed to give you everything that you want. You are just programming it wrong. So if I was to pick up my phone and open maps in my phone and type in McDonald's, it's going to take me to the nearest McDonald's. It's not going to take me to the gym. It's not going to take me to the health food store. It's not going to take me anywhere but McDonald's, right?
When
but
I first
most
found
people,
out how bad big bags work for you, I never want to think about McDonald's again.
but most people, they're doing this with their life, right? They want to end up in financial freedom, but they continue to focus on how broke they are every day, and they wonder why they're not getting to financial freedom. So whatever you focus on, there's the saying, where your energy goes or where your attention goes, energy flows, is absolutely right. So the thing that you focus on the most often, the things that you talk about and say in your head, so your thoughts, but also out loud, are the things that you are putting, that's basically the address that you're putting into your GPS of your mind. So my first challenge for everybody listening is to start focusing on paying attention to what you think about. So set an alarm or a reminder to go off at least 3 times throughout the day. 6 is better. And just check in with yourself. Like, what was I just thinking about? Was I focused on how shitty my relationships are? Or was I focused on something I'm grateful for? Was I focused on how much I hate my body, how overweight I am, how little energy I have? Or was I focused on something I'm grateful for, something I'm doing well, you know, things that I do have in my life where things are improving?
Your phone buzzed every single hour, and I was like, golly, you're busy. And then I would look down and it was like alarm, alarm, alarm. And it would have all of these like phrases. And I was like, there's got to be something to this. And there was some method to your madness. And
There was,
it was a
right?
reticular activating system.
Yeah, because we just get in the flow of every day. I still have those alarms going off to this day
Oh, you
because
do. I know, because I hear them.
we get into the flow of life, and then we forget, we get caught up in thinking about what we need to do and what we haven't done yet and all these other things. And then it's really easy. Like, we have about 60,000 thoughts a day, or approximately one new thought every 6.5 seconds. And so 80% of those are negative
And all
until,
of those have those. That isn't me and Tiffany. That's everybody. Whether you think you do, or you think you don't, whether you live in East Tennessee or you live in Los Angeles, California. We
yeah,
all have those thoughts, and they happen at a subconscious level as well as a conscious level. So don't think you get a free pass on that. It happens. It's how us humans are made.
yeah. And so unless we do some intentional and conscious reprogramming, that's what's going to happen. Right. And so before I knew any of this, all the time, I would focus on how little money I had and how expensive things were. And, I have to pay another bill. And, I'm so tired and I hate my body and I'm overweight and blah, 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 all these things. And then I realized literally all of that was just keeping me, it was telling my mind that I wanted more of that. So this reticular activating system, what you focus on is what goes into it. And it will find the fastest and easiest way to create that thing for you. So if you're 5 times a day talking about how broke you are, then 5 times a day, you're putting in an order essentially for your reticular activating system, for your unconscious mind to find a way to get you back to more broke. You're telling your mind, this is what I want. So this is where the secret kind of had it right without the suppressing our emotions, right? We don't want to suppress our emotions. We've talked about that in
We
previous
could go over an
episodes.
entire episode on the secret. Okay. I don't really want to break down the secret.
But we do want to take our focus to where we want. I was a personal trainer for over 20 years. I started at 14 and I did it all the way up, whether it was full-time or part-time, I did it all the way up until like 2017, 2018 when I met you. And so I have sat down with so many people, even now in goal setting. I'll sit down and I'll talk to people like, what are your goals? What is it that you want to create? And 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, they'll tell me what they don't want. Well, I don't want to feel this way anymore. And I don't want to huff and puff going up the stairs. And I don't want to be overweight. Right. But when you talk about what they do want, they're very non-specific. Like they spend so much time focused on what they don't want that they haven't become clear on what they do want. Now, here's the thing about the reticular activating system. It has no way to process the word not. So every time we say something, we get a picture in our head. So if I say, Sid, do not think of a purple frog, what picture did you get in your head?
Purple frog.
I've done a couple of talks in like elementary schools, and I do this and they think I'm a mind reader. They're like, whoa, she knows what I'm thinking. But I put the picture there, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who's listening to this that has kids knows this. If you tell a kid, like, don't run out on the road, the first thing they're going to do is run out on the road because you put the picture in their head of them running out on the road. And so think about how you're doing this in your life. Even saying like, oh, I don't want debt. Well, what's the focus on? It's still on debt. I worked with a financial planner back when I first started my business. And I was talking to this person and I said, I think we're, 9 months into working together. And they came to me and they said, oh, I set this goal on January 1st to be out of debt or to have no debt. And I have more debt now than I did before. And I'm like, yeah, because your focus was on debt. Whereas if we want to pay off debt, and let's say we have $50,000 of debt, and we want to end up with an extra $20,000 in savings, then the focus should be on how do I make an additional $70,000, not how do I pay off my debt? Because then you're still focused on debt.
And remember, and guys and gals, I remember that this isn't just something at the snap of a finger. Like, this is a skill. This is a habit. This is a habit to break and a skill. And a lot of us, I did it. I used to do this. This is how I used to talk. I said don't in it seemed like almost every single sentence. I probably said it 400 or 500 times a day. because it was almost kind of like I was programmed as a young child to say, I don't this, or I don't that, or don't do this, or don't do that, instead of do this or do that. And I honestly think it's almost societal programming that, over the past few decades that has taught us that way to talk. And we could talk about why and talk about why that's happening in a whole new episode. But at the end of the day, I think it's how the world has almost gotten lazy in a way, or a lot of society. And it's almost kind of like the don't or the not has become a very common language. And I don't know why that is, but it's kind of like ever since learning this from you, it was like, oh, like I get it. Like it's say the things that you want to achieve instead of the things that you know what I mean? Like it just seems so much more clear. It's like, I want this. Okay, go get that. Instead of I don't want this, but I'm still going to go get that. And I think like when I understood that, like our brain is going to be focused on the words that we say instead, and you know what I mean? Instead of like not how we say it in a way, if that makes any sense, then it really, really helped me, which is, oh, I'm just going to be focusing on the things that I do want. I remember a funny story is I remember when we first met, we were on a road trip because Tiffany loves road trips, and she like blew me up with road trips when we first met, like 15 hours a day in a car. And she's like loving life, listening to audiobooks. And I'm like, just get us to the place. But now I like road trips. It's fun. But I remember she made a comment. She was like, okay, red car. And I was like, what in the hell are you, red car? What the hell are you talking about? She's like, I bet you're going to notice like 20 red cars today. I noticed like 50. And it was all because she literally just said red car. And now it was almost kind of like, I was just like, every single time I saw a red car, I was like, oh, red car, red car. And I was like pointing them out. I never noticed that before. And all it took was her to point my brain toward where I was going. And this was like a snap of a finger. It was like my brain just automatically started looking for red cars that day.
Yeah.
Now
So
everybody listening to this is going to find red cars happening all day, every day.
you're welcome. So the way that it works is that our unconscious mind takes in 140 million pieces of information
with an M people
per second. 140 million per second is the amount of information going into your unconscious mind. Your conscious mind is 134 total, not 134 million, not 134,000, 134 period. So that's a big gap, right? And so what happens is our reticular activating system will set our blinders. I think of them as blinders or filters. And we only see what aligns with what we focus on. So and I'm going to tell you a funny story in a second. I don't know if I've told you this story before.
Dang, how many
I believe
do you have stored up there that you just have
I have
over the past
so
6
many
years?
stories. So many stories. So anyways,
Yeah.
if you believe that it's hard to make money, then you will only filter in opportunities to make money that are hard. Anything that's aligned with your passions, anything that is fun, simple, passive, you're going to either say that that's a scam, right? Oh, that's a scam. That couldn't possibly work. Or it won't even come into your realm of existence.
Can I
right?
ask a question? Can I ask a question though? Because the last episode we talked about manifestation. How important does the reticular say that 5 times fast, reticular activating system have, right, when it comes to something someone wants to manifest?
Manifestation is all about getting the reticular activating system focused on the right things.
So what you're saying is like the reticular activating system is very much a foundational piece in understanding and wanting to get very good at in someone's life to be able to start consistently manifesting things that they see in their head and things that they want.
1000%. Yes.
Got it.
So, so we've got these filters set. So I used to have this belief that if I made too much money, people would reject me. But I also believed that I had to work hard to make money. So at that time, I was making about $60,000 a year. And I'd never made that much money before in my life. I thought that was amazing. But if I could get to 80 grand a year, I thought a lot smaller back then. But in my mind, if I could work 20 hours a week and make an extra 20 grand a year, so that I was bringing in a total of 80. So the math on that, by the way, is $20 an hour. If I could find a second job for 20 hours a week, making $20 an hour, I'd be making it rain. Right.
Gosh, I remember when I made $50,000 for the first time, I thought I was just like, I've made it.
right?
I made it. And now look at that.
So,
Wow, it's nutty.
so I am like joining all these MLMs, all these network marketing companies. And as soon as I would make money, I would go to every meeting. I would do all the things that you were supposed to. And I think within like the first 2 weeks, I made like my first $30 commission. And my upline person told me, take a picture with it and post it, like the selfie, on Facebook and talk about, this opportunity and how quickly you started making money. Took the selfie, posted it on Facebook. I never went to another meeting. I never bought another product. I never talked about the product again, because my own belief, it was too easy, right? Like the weekly meetings were in this really cool bar on the beach in Melbourne, and I was like friends with everybody there. So I was basically going to have drinks with friends on the beach every weekend, and we were doing business. And that was totally out of alignment with my beliefs of how you made money, right? It was too easy. It was too fun. It wasn't hard. I didn't dread it. So anyways, while all this is going on, I'm looking at all these MLMs, I'm like putting together these super complicated business consulting models. What happened was, somebody that I had a job at the same time then, and somebody that my company that I worked for had partnered with said they owned like an athletic development facility. It looks like a CrossFit gym, but like amateur and professional athletes would train there. And this person came and said, like, we really want you to come on board with us, like join the board, be the chief education officer.
That doesn't align with Tiffany Toombs. I don't know what else does.
We want you to run an internship for university students who need to get their hours. You put the structure together. We'll help you run it, obviously, but you put it all together. We will pay you 60 grand a year, not 20, 60 grand a year for about 20 hours of work a week. And you also, because my background is in athletic rehab, you can set up like the first rehab section of the business that we don't yet have. And my response, because my filters are set to making money with things that are hard. So my response to this guy was, if you want to ask me on a date, then just ask me out. You don't have to pay me 60 grand and give me 10% of your company. And he was just like, no,
so many people do that though. It's like they just automatically go into like, this isn't real. There's no way that can happen.
I was like, there's got to be a catch somewhere. This is too good to be true. That's what I was telling myself. This is too good to be true. And he was like, no, like, I'm serious. And I was like, bro, like, I know that you're hitting on me.
We could talk about it's too good to be true on an entire episode. I can't tell you how many times I felt that.
Right.
And I've literally just sabotaged myself when it was like right in front of me.
Now, luckily, I was already working with a coach. I was already doing some inner work. And I realized that my limiting beliefs around money were not great. And so I started working on my money beliefs. And I'm like in the middle of working on my money beliefs. And all of a sudden, one day I was like, oh, he wasn't asking me out. He genuinely wanted to give me this opportunity. And so I called him and I was like, is it still available? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm in, let's do it. Like,
yeah,
but that's what
you
happens.
were lucky. A lot of people lose that opportunity.
Absolutely. I thank my lucky stars, but like, people don't realize that that's what's happening in your life. Now, you might not even become aware of the opportunity, right? Like, I see people posting on TikTok all the time about how much money they're making selling on TikTok Shop or doing these other things online. And there's always people in the comments, this is too good to be true. This can't be possible. Even on my posts on TikTok and even Facebook, sometimes we're all talk about like, this thing, like healing is possible for you, or getting healthier is possible for you, or better sleep is possible for you. And people will like comment like, no, that's not going to work for me because blah, 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 blah. Right. And they fight for their limitation. Well, you can fight for your limitation, or you can realize that your filters have been set to convince you that the way that you're living your life is the only way that's possible. But if there's anybody out there who has something different to you, then you might want to start considering that there is a different reality that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's as simple as it sounds. I mean, a lot of this stuff I know really comes across as being simple, and a lot of it is really simple. The sad story is that most people, even though how simple it is, they choose to do something else. And you see myself there as I easily could have said, choose not to do it. But you see how I rephrased that and I said, choose to do something else, because now I'm pointing at what they're doing instead of what they're not doing, right? So I think like it's really easy for us to fall into using the words like not and don't and stuff like that in our language that really screws up our reticular activating system.
But it's
And
also really easy to get focused on what you don't want.
really easy, because I think, again, I think that's a societal programming in like, I don't know about you, but when I was in school or like just being around people, when people would try to like get what they wanted, most people around me, their language was the way they talked about, if I said, hey, what it is that you want, or like, okay, you want to get this thing, how are you going to get it? They go directly into all these I don't, or I won't, or you know what I mean? Like there's all of those, and it's almost kind of like they have to lead with what it is they don't want or what it is they won't do before they actually, it's like the ending is like this big finale. I'm going to talk about what it is they want. It's like, no, that's the first thing that you need to be talking about, and everything else can just go away. I'm getting this, and these are the steps that I'm going to do to get there. Period. The end. Leave the don'ts and the won'ts out of it.
Yeah. So 2 steps that you need to do to start programming your unconscious mind to get you what you want. The first step is you need to regulate your nervous system, because if your nervous system is in a state of chaos, if you are super dysregulated, if you're living in survival mode, you will really struggle to get clarity on what you do want. When people come to work with us, this is a question I ask: what do you want to create? And a lot of times their future looks so fuzzy and so blurry, they can't, we ask them to write a perfect day out and they can't do it. And it's because they're in survival mode. So we have to start with regulating the nervous system, making the nervous system realize A, that the bear is not chasing you in this moment, and B, that it's okay to feel safe enough to have something different to what you have now. So we have put together a free resource for you, absolutely free. It is the 7 exercises that I start every single one of my private clients off with so that I can break them out of survival mode. So the rest of the work that we're going to do together becomes a million times easier. I didn't used to give these exercises out and people still got results, but it was like pulling teeth. And now it happens with so much more ease. So all you have to do to get these 7 exercises, the 7-day nervous system reset, is go to resetmysystem.com/reset. We're going to pop that link in the show notes as well for you. Go get it, check it out, start doing these exercises consistently. And in less than a week, less than 5 minutes a day for a week, you are going to change your life.
I just have to say this to cap off this episode on a funny note. So you've been saying the words, the bear, like the bear is chasing you. Ever since I met you, when you would talk about stress and overwhelm, or fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which we talked about in other episodes, you always talk about the bear chasing you in the woods, or the bear chasing you.
I grew up in the mountains and I now live in the mountains.
I was going to say, isn't it funny that we came from Dallas, Texas here, and now we live in a place that is covered with black bears
that tear up our garbage can at night.
Talk about the reticular activating system at work.
But I also grew up in the Smoky Mountains, so bears is a natural.
Smoky Mountains. You grew up in Canada.
Oh, sorry.
Smoky Mountains in America.
I grew up in the Rocky Mountains, is what I meant to say.
Okay,
my reticular activating
system. Grizzly bears there.
Yeah, so bears have been a part of my life for a long time. So the second step then is that we need to start becoming aware of our self-talk. We need to start becoming aware of the things that we talk about and that we think about, because that is what you are programming into your mind. And if you're not getting the outcome that you want, then you either have a limiting belief that we need to clear out, or there is a negative thought pattern, or you're focusing on what you don't want. You're putting the wrong focus on something.
So I first want to applaud everybody that's listening to this episode right now. You have survived the first Geek Out session with Tiffany. There's many more to come. There's many more to come. However, I think these are so important. And at the end of the day, Tiffany and I are obviously here, and we, we're healers, and we take people through a lot of exercises and a series of exercises to help them when it comes to clearing the blocks that are holding them back. We follow our RISE method. There's specific exercises that fall under all of those milestones that we've talked about here, in regards to reprogramming limiting beliefs, recalibrating the nervous system, childhood, inner child work, or basically getting rid of childhood trauma. And of course, shifting your identity and expanding your limitations. So obviously we have our specific exercises and our specific quote unquote frameworks or step by step on being able to do all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, I think, Tiffany specifically is very much an educator. And, like this is the type of stuff that she started doing when she first got started with her business and the types of stuff that she loves. So really, when it comes to these type of episodes, maybe we should tab it like Geek Out Session with Tiffany. I don't know.
Yeah.
Really like this specific episode is just packed with so much education. Like, the little piece of gold nuggets, as I got a little bug flying in my face. But there's a little piece of gold nuggets, right? That like, Tiffany talking about, it's not just about the reticular activating system, but the things that cause it to do what it does, the words to use and not to use. I think those are just absolutely gold nuggets that everyone should really take and put in a bag, because what we went over on this episode can honestly change your life. And when you match it with the 7-day nervous system reset, it's going to do nothing but accelerate that growth and get you to where you want to get faster. So literally, this is one of those episodes where there's just so many gold nuggets that are dropped. Don't just listen to it once, listen to it multiple times, but take the things that Tiffany specifically talked about. I did a lot of joking on this episode and coming back to the stories and kind of let Tiffany riff. But at the end of the day, I let her do that because there's so many gold nuggets that she goes over on this. And specifically taking these gold nuggets and matching them with the nervous system reset is one of the quickest and most magical things that anybody can do when it comes to their healing journey, when it comes to their personal transformation journey, and it comes to getting the things that they want out of life as fast as possible. This episode is one of the best ones that we've done, and it's mainly because of everything that we put into it in a very short time. Take it, re-listen to it, and apply it to your life, and I promise you, you are going to see so much change happening in your life. You're going to look back in literally a matter of a couple of days if you take action on it now, and you're going to be like, holy cow, this is a new world. And that's why we do this. We want to show people what's really out there, and this episode can help you get there.
So thank you so much for joining us for this episode. It has been definitely my pleasure. I had a lot of fun doing this. I don't know if Sid enjoyed.
Yeah, I can tell stories, and I get to riff about, funny things that happen, and I get to riff about the evidence that happens in the things that you're talking about. So I think for me, that's fun for me, because it's, I think so many people in this space regurgitate things that they listen to or hear. It's like, hey, let's go listen to Tony Robbins and just repeat what he says, and I'm gonna go make $1 million. But they actually don't live the life. And I think that's what's really cool is like we talked about the reticular activating system, and you keep talking about the bears chasing you. And I'm like, you honestly realize that like we moved from a city to bears that chase us in the Smoky Mountains. So I was like, literally,
Black bears don't chase you. Black bears don't chase you.
They could. They're not grizzly bears, but they could.
Thank you all so much for joining us. We will be back with another amazing interview. We have some incredible interviews.
Okay.
We have some incredible interviews coming up for you, and some even more episodes with our geeking out and antics. So thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with somebody. That's how we can get this information out to more people. And I genuinely believe from the bottom of my heart that the more people that know this, the faster the world changes and we get out of the crapshoot, dumpster fire that we are in right now. So share this with people, and then we can all work towards manifesting a brighter future for all of us to live in with less chaos. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Have an amazing day, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Cycle Breakers. This channel is dedicated to giving you the tools that you need to clear out the blocks holding you back so you can live the life that you desire. Now, before you go, as our special gift to you, we have our 7-day nervous system reset. These are the exact exercises that I give all of our clients in every single one of our programs to help them regulate their nervous system, to make that inner work and clearing out those mental blocks so much easier. The best part, it's absolutely free. Just click on the link in the description below and you'll get instant access.